The early believers are now rich as fuck. The late believers are about to be rich as fuck. This is the phase when we hold on to our bags and we wait for the no-coiners to show up so we can dump on their faces. We are the new financial elite built on digital internet money, slashing down SWIFT IBANs and routing numbers. Welcome to the new paradigm, boy!
Alright, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel, and we went live yesterday to celebrate Bitcoin passing through its all-time high in the GBP. Now, I actually managed to meme myself, so I'm going to share that with you because I thought this was pretty funny. I managed to mark the exact top in this current Bitcoin pump by popping a cork. So here's the clip for you. Take a look at this. Whiskey, yeah, should we pop this cork? Let's pop this cork. I'll see if I can get this on, the mic. Try not to break something. Ready? Oh, so, and that just happened to mark the exact top of this current pump. So, sorry about that. I got a couple other things I wanted to point at in terms of the live stream yesterday. Somebody asked me about Gareth Soloway, and I said this as a joke, mind. What happened to Gareth? I don't know. He's probably still adding here, I guess. I guess he would still be adding on the way up to his short. Probably looking for that double top. So I was clearly joking, right? I was just having a bit of fun, right? It was an informal live stream. But this morning, take a look at this, okay? I have no words for this. This guy works for market makers. He must do.
Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart. Right now trading above 60,000. So just a heads up, I always try to be transparent with you guys. I added my last add to my short on Bitcoin just above 60,000, bringing my average to about, I think it's 56,405, give or take. Don't quote me on that exact number to the dollar, but that's what I remember it being, 56,405. We'll see if I get wrecked or not, as some of you guys like to say. Let's get right into the...
Oh... I can't believe what I'm seeing. I can't... I mean, we all get things wrong, right? we all make bad trades from time to time, but the way to do it is not to just keep adding to your short, especially with an asset like Bitcoin. I mean, what if this thing just goes straight up, right? What if we see something like this over the coming weeks? Is it just going to keep adding? I don't understand, man. I don't understand. Anyway, I thought that was pretty funny. And the last thing I wanted to point out was a number of people yesterday were talking to me in the live stream and saying Coinbase went down and their balances were showing zero, and there was some people freaking out. And I thought what I would do is just kind of let you guys know, the newer guys, exactly what the deal is with Coinbase. And this is speaking from experience, right? I sent a text message this morning to my father-in-law explaining exactly how this thing works with Coinbase. And I thought I'd just read you this text because, like I said, if you haven't been here for that long, if you're relatively new, if you haven't seen one full cycle, then you'll be unfamiliar with what Bob is pointing at here. This is kind of an insider joke. And this is how it works, right? The story goes, years ago when exchanges were quite new, Bitcoin would make large moves and lots of people would use Coinbase, and the traffic through the app and the website would cause it to crash and stop working. So years ago, that sounded very plausible. That sounded reasonable. It was all kind of new technology, and the technology at the time was still quite underdeveloped. But as time went on, people like me, crypto guys, started to realize there was a pattern to this. So every time Bitcoin had a large volume move, and particularly as it made new highs or new lows, Coinbase would inexplicably go down, right? And this became a very reliable and notable pattern. It almost became a meme at the time that you just shouldn't trust Coinbase to, allow you to get your money in and out when you actually really need to. And anyway, years ago, it just kind of seemed like it was par for the course, right? It's a new technology, it's still kind of underdeveloped, but here we are, 2 full cycles later, and the thing is still happening, okay? So there's not really much we can do, and keep in mind, this is happening now. I mean, there's no excuse, right? Imagine if the stock market crashed every time it made a new high, right? Imagine if your brokerage account wouldn't let you buy or sell at new highs or new lows because, the traffic, quote unquote, the traffic is too high or whatever. It's just inexcusable, particularly as these days, Coinbase is listed on the stock market. It's a publicly traded company, of course, and it's also the custodian for the ETF providers, right? So, there's no real excuse for this at the moment. It is likely just part of the industry still being subject to less regulation than other areas of the industry. or other areas of finance, I should say, such as the stock market. So what can we do about this? Well, to be honest, not a lot, right? You can use a different exchange. Coinbase, objectively speaking, do have a habit of doing this. I don't think anyone needs to particularly panic. I don't think your funds are actually at risk. I think Coinbase is probably one of the safer exchanges. But of note, anytime you keep any amount of crypto on an exchange, you are, of course, taking counterparty risk. You are accepting counterparty risk. And if it's not cold stored, then you don't actually own it and hold it. This, of course, is where we get the saying, not your keys, not your coins. And as I said, anyone that has been here for more than 4 or 5 years, they will have seen this dozens of times. This is just what they do, okay? And if you don't like it, I completely understand. And maybe look for a new exchange account. In the meantime, though, Coinbase doing Coinbase things, right? And Bitcoin is doing Bitcoin things. 3 times since November of 2022, all cohorts have been in deep blue, which is accumulation, okay? So if I pull this chart up, deep blue means everyone is accumulating. Each one of these rows, you know, this is people that are not whole coiners, 1 to 10, all the way up to over 10k Bitcoin per entity. So when we're in blue, that means everyone is buying heavy accumulation. When we're in dark red, that means everyone is selling heavy distribution. Now, to say this again, only 3 times since November of 2022 have all cohorts been in deep blue, denoting accumulation. One time was November 2022. That was the bear market low. The next time we saw all cohorts in deep blue was October 2023, right before the ETF speculation. And now we're seeing it again as Bitcoin is trading above 60k. So there is still plenty of buyers at these levels. And speaking of plenty of buyers at these levels, the ETF daily flow yesterday did over $612 million. There is not enough Bitcoin to go around, okay? If this maintains anywhere near this level of buy-side pressure, then nobody is bullish enough. There are around 2 million coins on exchanges that are tradable. Most people are not moving their coins. Many people that are getting a position now have no intention of offloading it anytime soon. And this is likely a large reason why we are seeing Bitcoin approach its all-time high so early in the cycle. We had some wicks yesterday. A lot of people were kind of panicking about that. But ultimately, for some context about this recent liquidation flush, okay, open interest has been wiped back to levels that we last saw at 46k, taking out both the longs and shorts in one aggressive move, which is very healthy because the lower open interest is, as we climb, the better. The less leverage we have in the system on the way up, the more organic the move, of course. This shakeout sets the stage for higher, faster, now that we've removed some of the froth from the top. So many people are sitting here going, well, that must be the top, right? There's no way, there's no way that we can continue to go higher. Most people, as you can see, or I shouldn't say most people, but many people think that this is the only logical move back down to the lows. I personally do not see this or agree with it. And if we click through here, you can see another scenario where we just do an ABC instead of 5 waves down. Either way, I don't see this as very likely, okay? I really don't see this as very likely. I don't believe the double top gang is going to be correct. Is some level of pullback into a half cycle low first before we go higher reasonable and to be expected? Yes. Is a breakout retest resumption to be expected? Yes. But is it reasonable to expect we have to go to new lows and still call this a bear market rally? Personally, I don't really see how you can be making that argument currently. I also like this, okay? A lot of people I know don't have a position because a lot of people are reaching out to me and saying, what do I do? What do I do? I can't tell anyone what to do, but we can look at historical context and say, at the hard right edge, this is what we've done so far, pertaining, or I should say relative to the 618. Okay, the 618 retracement level, we have just about poked above it, and there is plenty of space left above if the prior cycles are anything to go by. So it's still relatively early. Would I personally be buying here? No, I'd probably at least be waiting for half cycle lows or cycle lows. I am going to be adding positions as we get to those areas on the chart. The next one is probably in about 2 weeks, around the 9th or 10th of March. That should be a half cycle low. Then about 30 days after that, we should expect the 60-day cycle low. I will be looking to add more positions, and I'll be doing this live on the channel as always. Do I want to be a buyer here? No, not necessarily. But would I be surprised if we did this? No, I wouldn't either. So anyway, I understand it's tough, right? I understand it's tough if you haven't got a position, but the cold, harsh reality is you've had between this and this to get a position, okay? So maybe now is the time to be accumulating a cash position ready to buy dips, assuming the market is kind enough to give them to us. The DXY still rolling over, okay? There's not a great deal of change in terms of the charts. This XRP trade I haven't looked at in some time. Let me take this off of log. You can see, look, we're still trading inside of this giant wedge. So if we can get a breakout of here, maybe this yellow squiggle is not going to be too far from reality. Something like this maybe. So maybe that's coming. I know a lot of people seem to think it is, but ultimately, I mean, this trade it's been a terrible coin to hold, right? There's many altcoins that have done better. Well, yeah, we'll see, right? If it breaks out and does that yellow squiggle, then I'll be happy with it. But for now, let's keep having a look at Bitcoin. Just going to tidy this up a little bit. So, I mean, more or less, behaving as expected, isn't it? Here we go. So, is some level of pullback into that half cycle low around the 9th expected? Yes, that would be reasonable. And again, we've got this cycle low, 60-day cycle low due around the 7th of April, plus or minus 6 days. Pretty sure we're going to end up getting rid of this left-handed count that I've crossed out. I've got about 80 to 90% confidence that the right-hand yellow arrows are correct. So overall, right, nothing is really out of the ordinary. And the best thing to do is just understand where we are. We are in this neighborhood where we could continue higher or have a severe shakeout, and a severe shakeout is to be expected, right? It's to be expected. But the thing to do is to not get too cute with your position, not to get bucked off, and just to accept that this is a very powerful, strong uptrend. And the best thing to do is to do nothing, to try to ride it. Know our invalidation levels, right? We don't want to see that prior cycle low taken out. We don't want to see this second angle of attack in red taken out, okay? But all the while we're above, then the structure remains bullish and we continue to look for higher Bitcoin prices. Gold has broken down of this short-term upward sloping red support line. So, and it's also rejected, right, of this one back here. So we've had breakdown, retest, looking for that resumption lower. We're due a daily and weekly cycle low, in my humble opinion. Always the outside chance this is the weekly cycle low, but I think there's one more rollover coming. I've been very, very patient. It's just kind of hanging around doing nothing. It is going to reveal direction in the not too distant future, right? We're either going to see a big green push and confirm that's the weekly cycle low, or we're going to see a big red candle and I will hop in short. But as it stands, I still have yet to notify the members. I still have yet to open the position. Similarly with oil, right? We have been kind of expecting this to play out, and so far it's just kind of hanging around. There will be a direction revealed. Either I'm wrong about this and we're going to see a big green candle, or we're going to get that rollover soon and I will initiate the short on the way down. I was noticing yesterday in the live chat that some of these crypto-related equities are suffering a little bit relative to Bitcoin. Now, I don't know exactly what the interpretation of that is. That tells us something. I'm just not entirely sure what, right? When Bitcoin is pumping like this, we would kind of expect to see that reflected in these other crypto-related equities. The fact that Riot is kind of lagging a little bit maybe says something, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe all this is instead of tracking Bitcoin, maybe the institutions that are behind the stock market most of the time understand that we are getting stretched in this weekly cycle. And even if we have confirmed this as an early cycle, it still tells us to be open, because we've had 1, 2, 3 cycles into that fourth. Tells us to be open to seeing an early top, a left translated daily cycle between these two green arrows come in, and then a decline into that weekly cycle low. So that's kind of my read at the moment, right? Whether or not we have confirmed this as a daily cycle is to be determined, because we could still get a big red candle today, maybe tomorrow, maybe Monday, and then that would give us a day 40, 41, 42 cycle low. That's not off the table just yet. And if we were to get that, then everything would kind of make sense. The relative weakness here would make sense, and all would be right in the world. If this indeed is the early cycle low, then we should continue up for a little bit longer, maybe get one final push out of the miners, and then we'll probably have to reset and flush some sentiment out again. There'll be some shaking and some puking out of positions, I'm sure, because most people are just not that good at holding these positions, right? Most people are just not really prepared for the volatility, and I can tell that by the way people treat this on Twitter. You see people messaging other people about miners all the time and say, oh, how come Bitcoin's up and the miners are down? How come Mara is sideways today? And I can see that they want like an explanation for every single tick in the market, right? And that's just not how it works, right? Just because Bitcoin's up doesn't mean all of these have to do a one-to-one correlated move with Bitcoin. Sometimes they're much more correlated to the stock market, the S&P and the NASDAQ, than they are to Bitcoin, and other times they're much more correlated to Bitcoin than they are to the stock market. So overall, you know, expect shakeouts, expect the unexpected, but just remember, right? Are you here to try to catch a little bit of a pump and to sell your position and puke out of it and then FOMO back in at the top? Or are you here to try to exploit these much larger, longer time frame moves? For me personally, this is what I'm looking for. Kind of looking at MicroStrategy yesterday, you know, this is what we've been looking to capture. The bulk of a parabola, you know, at some point the top is going to come in, but for now we continue to push and we'll see what the market can give, right? We will see what the market can give. We'll see at what level Bitcoin is going to stall out at. And last but not least, Dow Jones still holding this upward sloping red support line. So all the while we're above that, we'll keep pushing the long, and the same is true of the Russell 2K, right? All the while we have not violated trendline support, we will continue to push the longs. So what a week. And it's only going to get worse. Everything is going to get more and more wild as the year progresses. Believe you me. In the meantime, though, what a nice week. I've had a really good time. The channel's been doing really well. So if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. We do things differently around here. If you're a new member, because I know there's a few new members, look out for the members only video on the weekend. And until next time, I hope you're doing well in life. Take care from me. All the best. Cheers. Bye.